Hey folks, here coming on. I have so much stuff on my desk. Top of the morning to you. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for joining me this morning here on Roodoodles Live. I feel like there's an old folk song called "Cheer Up, Sleepy Jean." Now, what's the name of that song? Cheer up, Sleepy Jean. When I rise, rub the sleep out of my eyes. The shaving razor's old and it stings. So cheer up, Sleepy Jean. All out good it seems to be. Daydream believer and a homecoming queen. That's it. I knew I'd get there. That's how I feel this morning. I have got, it's foggy, it's cool, it's certainly a October fall day here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it just felt like a good day to go have another cup of tea and put my head down on my toast, if I ate toast. But toast says I'm eating alone. Biscuits, that says community. And you know I'm in a community. So thanks for being here this morning. Hey, let's see, my other tripod from holds my camera is in the shot, and it'll be gone, I think, if I go to picture in picture. Let's see if this is working. Boom, there I am up in the top right hand. Probably, maybe it could be your left hand. I don't know. You know, this whole thing is reversed for me. This is like painting upside down in a mirror, standing on your head. This must be what it feels like to be an astronaut. This is the closest I'm going to being an astronaut. You ever look at the clouds and think, man, I'd like to be an astronaut? I never had that feeling. I thought, like, I don't want to get in that rocket. Not even when I was 8 years old, I don't think I wanted to do that. So, hey, so blessings on you for being on the show this morning. Let me just do a quick little thing here. Let me just clean off my glasses because I'm thinking that they need a shot of something here while I warm up my colors over here. Just giving them a little spray with, it says warm them up, but I'm actually chilling them out, huh? Just grab a little bit of this Mister bottle here. This is it's called I think it used to be made by Whole Bean. I don't know who this was made by. Now I put my glasses on, I can't see a thing because I forgot to wipe them off. I keep a little spray bottle handy. All of those are going to be in some of the tools that I'm going to talk about. Some of you have that. Some of you have industrial sprayers. You hit it and it goes, pfft. But if it sprays a straight line, you know your paint follows that. So you need something that's a little bit more of as a mist, M-I-S-T, a mister. Not a Mrs., but a mister. It just kind of just atomizes it out there just a little thinner, and that'll help you. Man, that helps right there. Great day. There you are. Let me say hello to some of you. And here's what we're going to do. I've got a couple notes here. Believe it or not, I've been making notes for Back to One, which is the beginner's art class that I'm going to be doing starting November 3rd. It's a Thursday. I believe that's the right date. And every Thursday morning, it's going to be on a private show. Just remind your friend, family, and yourself if you want to go back and just think, wait a minute, wouldn't it be good every now and then to just have a refresher course? And I'm going to show you something new this morning that I just have discovered in a different way. I hope you had a great weekend, and let me go from there. Let me just say hello first, and we'll jump through this some. Not that this is not important, because it is, because you guys. You know what? I will tell you this. If you weren't there, I'd still paint in the mornings, and I'd go looking for people to connect to, and I still do that. Just this past weekend, connected with some people, gave away 2 or 3 paintings, gave away a whittled rooster last night around the fire. Whittling by firelight is it's pretty good to come away unscathed, because it's like, whoa, was that a flicker or a shaving, or it's hard to see, but it was kind of a fun. I had a photo on my phone, but I didn't shift it over. Turned out pretty well, actually, and I didn't have a cork to put it in, but there's some people had made some avocado dip there, and there was a lime left over, so I just stuck him down in the lime and gave him to a gentleman. Who we had a long conversation about collecting things, and as we go through life. So I said, well, here, I don't, you collect this. Anyway, glad you're with me this morning. Let me say hello, and then I'll jump back into where I was and what we're talking about. Donna Sil Barton, thanks for being on the show, and Bert Crone, all the way from Greenville, South Carolina. Chris Whitaker, thanks for being on the show. Nancy Catlett. Lynn Miner says, good morning. It's been a while. Well, Lynn, we've been right here. Where the heck have you been? That's all I got to say about that. Fern Skelly, thank you for being on the show. Kathy Taylor, Sharon Clark, Cindy Wiltermood. I saw a painting from you, I guess, this weekend. It was just off the chain. I believe it was a face. Woo, brilliant. Steve Catlett says, hope your weekend was great, man. My weekend was filled with grandkids. Yeah, I had 2 of the granddaughters over here on Friday night. Saturday morning after the show, did some pancakes, and then I had the grandson over here yesterday. Carol and I, she picked him up, brought him back, and after church, he and I went to the shop, and I taught him about an hour and a half, 2 hours of just acetylene welding and making a cool little piece of, welded some horseshoe nails together. He made a cool little cross for his girlfriend. Cool. Teaching him how to braise, and he's going like, whoa, I look like a superhero, and he's pretty good with his hands, and he's got a great design brain. So that was really fun to do. Get out there and say, he says, is this stuff dangerous? And I go, well, yeah, it's a bottle of acetylene, highly explosive fuel. And he goes, whoa, you'll be okay. And so, we spent a little time talking about that. And then I said, next step is yours. And here's what that means. That means that if you want to take this farther, I'll be happy to teach you, but it's up to you. So I'm not going to say, hey, please come. I'd like to teach you this. Hey, please come. And so that's kind of what my art show's about too. I said, I teach people how to, and that's such a powerful word. I teach people, but I hopefully help inspire people to motivate themselves to move forward in that. And that's kind of what Back to One is going to be again. I'm still doing Patreon. I love gathering with those folks on the first Tuesday of the month, and I love doing Good News Rue and the Gospels on the second, third, fourth Tuesdays of the month. And we're getting ready to go into the book of John and just paint those stories that come to life. And it's not that we're trying to be theologians or theologically correct. Well, we are trying to be theologically correct, but we're not theologians. We're just painting a scene to help us remember the truth in the scene. And that's what you're doing when you're out painting plein air. You see this scene that's just a reflection on your page. And so, in fact, I'm just going to start painting something and show you how fast that can come to fruition. I'm going to do it on this fluid paper first. It's a little less expensive than this Kilimanjaro. That's probably about the same, but I just want to try something here on this little 6x6. This is a 6x6 square. It is fluid 100, 100% cotton. I talked to the folks this week, sent them a note, and they responded quickly. That's the Speedball people. And I have this other, this paper here is not, it's just their fluid paper. It's not their fluid 100. And once again, they have somehow, she said, well, we don't have a machine that puts this on. We actually put this on our pads. This is made in Statesville, which is only about 45 minutes from me. The paper's not made there, but it's assembled there. And The glue, once again, has been so difficult on this paper that it's made it, and it's on this one too. They actually did it on the 100 paper. It's so powerful that you rip the paper getting the painting off. I just did that on this little bird catcher. This is a bird catcher bee that I just did here. It says, ooh, I didn't see that coming. And when I pull this off, even with my tool, I got a little tool that I slide under it, I still ripped it. I was tenderly moving this out, and the glue had kind of stuck to the paper and just ripped the corner off. So there's a little bird without a tail that I painted. This multicolored bird, by the way, is it's called a bee catcher. And yeah, they're out there, believe it or not. Not so much in our country, but they are around. So here we go. I'm just going to show you something that I'm going to do. And this is something that we'll do in Back to Basics. Karen Bander, good. Thanks for being on the show. Denise Albright says it's cool. Sammy Ulster, thank you for being on the show. Ulsler, Heather Kuhlman, Beverly Schmidt, June Jones, Janice Scott, Jean Anthalzer. Thank you for singing. Yeah. Is it your birthday? I sing every morning. I don't have that voice I used to have. Now my voice is, I just did some cowboy spots for a friend of mine out in Colorado, and I did them in my cowboy voice, and they were kind of like this. So it worked, though. Good morning to you. Raylene Culberson, thanks for being on the show. And Teresa Marie Clag Salvaggio. That sounds like that has to be said from a DJ also, doesn't it? Teresa Emmerich, thanks for being on. A balmy 7 degrees. In a few hours we'll be freezing. Donna Buckley, there she is all the way from West Virginia. Debbie Bennett, Jennifer Yentz, Cheryl Reed Nicholson, good morning to you. Marie Ratka, Laura Abbott, golly, thanks for jumping on, people. There's Jafar Abdul Karim, thank you for being on the show. I don't say those names very often, nor do I say them well, so thanks for the grace. Lynn Swain Brown, thanks for being on the show. All right, here we go. Skeeter says, I came back. Jack Wolfenbarger, good morning to you, my friend, down in Florida. All right, so Jennifer Biggins, thanks for being on the show, and Pamela Murray from Vancouver, BC. Holy smokes. I flew out of Vancouver up to the BC coast about 2.5 hours, went into Sechelt and dropped off some mail there in a little plane. I didn't fly, but I sat in the co-pilot seat the last hour and a half of that flight after we dropped off some mail at a logging camp. So went into a Young Life property there it's called Malibu. And it's just a terrific, most gorgeous country I've seen so far. And the size of the trees are as big around as this room that I'm in, or bigger. And they're just spectacular. So thanks for joining me from the BC coast. One of my favorite trips. I was only there for a day and a half or so. I went to design a ropes course for a camp, and they flew me in, and I did all my work and had my tools and my protractor and sketched and drew. I didn't sketch. I wasn't sketching. I was just mathematically writing things down. I've been attempting to watercolor paint fall leaves. Okay, well, let's just have some fun with that this morning. Let's do one. A little late, but hello. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put a little music. Let's see if we can find a piece of fall music here. Just something that kind of will shimmer, and I don't even know what I'm looking for, but let's just find something here. How about this one's called Still Life? There we go. All right. Hey, so here's what I'm going to do. Good morning to you. I'm just on a piece of Fluid 100 paper. I'm going to grab a brush. Just grab, in fact, I'm going to grab, look at this. I'm going to grab a big brush this morning. A number 8 American Journey, just a nylon, a clean paper towel here. Well, almost clean one. Here it is. And I'm just going to go in here. Let me move some of these pens over just so you can see. I'm not going to even use a pen sketch. I'm just going to go in here with my palette. Can you see that? I'm going to grab a little bit of purple. We'll drop it in here. You don't see me do this often. You don't see me going to my palette and mixing another palette color somewhere. A little black, a little ultramarine blue. Just make a black mix there, kind of a black purple mix, and see. We'll see how this looks. That's okay. We'll take that. And just come in here and just do kind of a blob. What happens if I put a little green in there too? Yeah, that kind of cool. A little more of this purple right in here. Just making this glob. There's a glob right there, okay? All right, so there we go. There's the glob. And you've seen it already, right? You see what it is. It's just, it could be a leaf, but I decided to go with some grapes this morning. Now I've got a, let me turn this down so you can make sure you can hear me well over the music. Okay. So here's what I just did. I just took this glob. I took a little bit of royal amethyst. I took a little bit of ultramarine blue, and I took a touch of black, and I just mixed them up right here in the corner of this little palette thing, just to drop in there like that. And I just made sort of a little glob. You see it? There it is right there, just a little glob. A glob. And before that dries, I'm going to go in with my brush, and I'm picking up a dry brush, and I'm just going to start right here, and I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to pick up some of the paint and dry off my brush. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm going to pick up some more right here. I'm just dropping my brush down and picking up some of this. Look. You see them coming to life? I'm erasing some of the watercolor. Remember, watercolor is just going to go do what it wants to do. It follows the path of least resistance. It follows the water. So, all right, so this is not working great as I thought it would, but it's okay. We're going to get there. Watch. Put too much water in there, I think. Here's what I need to do. Come back and take some of that out, see? Did it start to form just a little bit? Could have had the wrong music, you think? I love doing this because if it's a complete failure, so what? How many times has that happened to you? When you're going to like, okay, here's what we're going to do today. I always love that when the science, Mr. Oh my gosh, I just started to say his name and I just forgot it. Oh, it's sad. He's one of my favorite teachers in the 6th grade. He was just a genius when in the science lab. And sometimes he would do things. He goes, okay, so when you do this, here's what's going to happen. But you see what's happening there. Do you see that clump of grapes? It's very abstract, but it's there. Do you see it? Okay, so, maybe you'll see it better if I come in here with a little bit of, if I come in here with just a little bit of water and I come in real close and just do a little brush out here of some water. Just getting really close there, really close. And then spring that out just a little, just painting. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to get some green and just let that green just kind of wander around in there in that space that I wet, just a little bit wet on wet. The thing about wet on wet painting is that you have very little control over it. And that's one of the things that scares people the most about watercolor. You just go, well, it just goes where it wants to. Nah, it goes where you put water. But now this time, I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to paint the leaf over here. And I'm just going to paint it down like this. And look, I didn't sketch it. I didn't draw it. I'm not looking at a leaf. In fact, I don't have any grapes even near the desk this morning. If I did, it wouldn't matter. I'm sorry that I made that so symmetrical. That really bothers me because I wish I'd have put this leaf somewhere else. So I'll just bring a few more little things in here. But you suddenly see what's happening. There's another way to kind of come in here. I could take a pencil now, and I could come in here, and I could just sort of find these grapes with a pencil and just find them kind of a little bit like this. Look, now you see them sort of coming out there together. Now they're sort of springing in place, and you go, oh my gosh, there really was a grape there all along, and I just didn't see it at first. But now you're beginning to see it, right? Because I'm just putting a little bit of graphite in here. And I'm bringing these grapes to fruition, so to speak. They are being born right in front of you. And I'm actually taking the curve of the water on the paper and letting that be the outlines of the grape. I haven't done this in years. We tried to do this about a year ago, and I was doing it some. I did this with Lee and Zen back many, many years ago. And I was going through my work downstairs and I found an old painting of grapes and I sold one. Somebody said, please sell that to me. I'd love to put it in my dining room. And there's the grape. Look, I could probably go back in with a dry brush. This is it's dry, but it's damp. But a damp brush works as a sponge and it'll soak up some of this. Watch right here. If I go in here and just grab some of that, look what happens. And then I wipe it off on my paper towel. I'm going to do it one more time for you right here so you can see the shadow of that light. And here's a little spot that's too hot, but I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a little color right there. I just want a little bit more of that color right there on that edge of that grape, right there. Too much, so I'm going to take some of that out now. So I'm going to clean my brush out, go in, and I'm going to take some of this out right here. I'm going to take a little more out. And I just keep painting it with water. Not only does it make it more translucent, but I'm actually lifting up some of the pigment. And that's kind of what I want you to know that you can do. But if you wait too long, not going to happen. So you've got to strike while the iron is hot, as the old, as I would say. I used to say as the old blacksmith would say. Now I just say as I would say. There's something that's, okay, so that gives you a little idea. Oh, shucks, I dropped my pencil. Hold on one second. Let me get that back up there. All right. And could I come in here with, oh, what if I introduce a fountain pen? I've never done this before either. So here's what I do. Look, I'm going to come in with a fountain pen. I'm just going to drop a little bit of, I'm painting with a Metropolitan Pentel. Pilot. It's a Pilot pen, and it's made by. It's the same fill it's the same filler that goes in these pens that I use, and it's actually the same end. It just feels different in the handle. These were some pens that we purchased recently to give to some men. The men that are showing up at my house on that once Thursday of the month when they come over. This month they came over for a hot dog bar from Chicago Hot Dogs, and with some Joanne Gaines macaroni cheese. Oh my gosh, with enough cheese in it to like stagger a goat, but absolutely off the charts. And then we didn't paint, we didn't do anything creative. We just get out in the yard and do the tomahawk for a while. You know, you got to, if you do a men's gathering, you got to eat something, cook something, shoot something, talk something, or tell a story, or burn something, or tell a story. So there you can see a little bit of shadowing down in there. Take a look. And so what I could probably come in and do is now just probably put a little bit of veining in here with a pencil or pen, and bring these leaves down just a little bit like this. And I also think it needs just a kind of a curly cue with some pencil. I don't do a whole lot with pencil, but sometimes it's just hard to get away from how cool a pencil is. You know, think what would be on the cave drawings if they'd had Cheap Joe's art stuff back then. Man, those guys would have really pretty come up with some stuff, huh? All right, so there's a little reverse watercolor. So I'm going to do some stuff like that in my Back to Basics classes one week. You just saw me do it. So some of you are on the class will probably do that again. But this is something that you don't do one time and go, oh, it's done. You should do this 25 or 50 times to just get a feel for it. What is it? One more quick sample. I'm going to show you on a different piece of paper. This is rag cotton. This is not. Okay, so let's do it one more time. Let's just grab a little bit of the blue and keep these grapes a little bluer. Okay? Nah, let's don't. Let's add a little of this purple in there too, because I just like that purple. And this is a smaller clump right here. We'll just do it with purple and blue. But how could I do that? Because I still got to have a little bit of black in it. So I'm just going to put the black in there like that. Look. Notice that I didn't really mix that. I just put the colors on top of each other and just sort of let them run. And I'm just let them do that now. So same principle, same concept. Could I take a bigger brush and do this with a bigger brush? I bet I could. Let's see here. See what we got right here. This is a number 10. Look at the size of this brush. So now what I'm going to do, clean paper towel, clean side, kind of come in again and just grab a little bit of this color right here and just take it out like this. I'm going to use this bigger brush to do smaller grapes. Just use the tip of it. See, this is something that if you tried to paint these this way, in a positive way, you know what I mean? By positive painting, by literally just drawing what you see, it'd be almost impossible. But by taking away color, you create this translucent look at the grapes that's just a little tricky and different. It's really fun to do it that way. And you also get a little feel for the light that's hitting the grapes. You could probably do this with a leaf also. Let's just try it. Hey, this is what this class is all about. This isn't the class, but this is what my class is going to be about. It's going to be about using the right tools. And let me tell you something. While I'm on this, let's go in here now. As it dries just a little, you just have to keep toying with it. So what if I throw away 10 pieces of paper while I'm doing this? So that maybe I sell one, and maybe I sell one for $30. Okay, that gives me the ability to buy 2 more of these pads. And then I will have taught myself at the sake of my art, which is why you need to paint things that people love and pass some on to friends and then sell some. Find a place where, you can hang some of them and people like your work. All right, you start to see it take shape there just a little bit, don't you? All right. And then how fun was that pencil to go in and find those grapes? You see them now? Let's go find some and we'll just make them in here. If you start drawing all the grapes symmetrically in a row, you're going to miss out what nature brought. That's not how they're put together out there. I did leaves on that one. See that? Let's just take this big old brush and drop a little in there. I sound like, you knew what I sound like this morning? Oh my gosh, that reminds me. Hold on, got to show you something. Just take a second here and take a look at this. I was at a place yesterday buying tea, where I buy my Thai food tea, and I was looking at the different teas, and I go down and I see all these cans sitting there, and this is what I found. Are you ready? It's going to blow your mind. Get ready. Here it goes. It's an energy drink, which I don't really recommend, nor do I drink them, but I had to buy this one. It's the Bob Ross Positive Energy Drink. It probably, who knows what it tastes like. It may taste like a happy little treat. I don't know. They should have put that on here. They missed a chance for marketing. Okay. Bob Ross, not even on this planet anymore, and it's from Woburn, Massachusetts. The Boston American Corporation distributed by it's Bob Ross Positive Energy Drink. You drink this and you're going to say, oh, that's a happy little drink. Isn't that hilarious? I love it. I don't think I'm ever going to drink it. Well, if I do, I'm going to keep the can and probably just put paintbrushes in it. So, all right, let's try it. Let's see what it's like. Here we go. Remember, I don't drink energy drinks, so here we go. Cheers. I promise you I didn't plan this, but it is very grape. That's about as grape. I didn't say great. I said grape. It's about as grape as you can get. So what I'll probably do now is I'll probably come in and I'll cut this ring out in here. Let's see how tall that is. Wow. I can't cut Bob's head off, so I'm going to have to cut that out. And then what I'll probably do is put a weight down in here about to that line. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll put something in there like this, and then I'll use it to hold some brushes. I didn't think about that till this morning either. Dang. Because I'm over that way, I need to buy another one of those. It's the Bob Ross Positive Energy Drink, and it tastes very. Oh, it looks like it's blue. Oh, that's nasty. Let me see what color it is. Shoot, I could paint with it. Oh, it is blue. What the heck? What is in this stuff? Man, that is blue. That is so blue. Look at that. You know what? I bet there's not another person teaching watercolor who just paints with their drink. Maybe. All right. So that is blue as it can be. I'll leave my office in a minute and run downstairs, and Carol will go, what the heck is wrong with you? And I'll go, it's Bob Ross. It might make my hair curly. All right. Anyway, so enough on that. Here's the first one I did. Take a look. This is the one I sprinkled with Bob Ross stuff. And let me see if I can get this piece of paper loose. These are easy blocks, and they're called easy blocks because they're only glued on two sides, here and here, here and here. So you have to take a tool or a pocket knife. Be careful if you're taking a pocket knife. Be careful for your fingers, but also you will rip the paper. But see, this glue should be letting go a little easier and faster than that. In this case, that's because I had two of them. I pulled it off, and there it is right there. There's the one. Here's the one I did originally. Could I come in with a little extra fine? See, I have an extra fine one of these. Is it? No, it's just fine. Extra fine right here. I could take a little one of these and come in and just maybe come in and do a couple little tweaks in here. All right. So, did you see what I did there? Just took a clump. Yeah, that's not a bad little. That's not a bad little thing of grapes. What could you do to make that better? I think I'd splash it a little bit with a little bit of, just a little bit of this orange and yellow around the edge. Just kind of put some of that rust in there like this. Why would I do that? Because I just like to. That's too heavy. Come and tap that out just a little bit. Just grab a touch of this blue splatter. Maybe a little green on those grapes right in here, just like that. Come in, just touch that with a paper towel. Just mess them up a little bit. Too much, so we'll take some of that out. Take a little bit of shadow here on the edge of the grapes and bring this leaf down. See, this one dried a little bit now, so look what I'm doing to it now. I'm bringing in a little color for shadow on this side. See there? All right, so and I think we need a little bit of brown up here, just in a stem right in there like that. And maybe a little bit of a leaf brown. So, you know, you're just playing with it a little bit. You're enjoying what you're doing. Sometimes we paint so neat that it's just is like, come on. Nature's not that neat, okay? So so just back off and have some fun with it, and that makes a fun little painting. Roodoodles.com. Ain't it grape? This pen, by the way, is a extra fine, and it does not write real well on watercolor paper. So you need to remember that. Medium pens, fine pens work great. Extra fine pens don't do well on watercolor paper. It just pulls the little nib too much. Anyway, a fun little painting there that I figured out how to do just by thinking, what if I went back? Sometimes you just wake up in the middle of the night. Oh, yesterday morning, I woke up at 4:30, couldn't go back to sleep, had 6 ideas that were going round and round in my head. So instead of coming into the office, sometimes I'll just get dressed, come upstairs. I didn't. I picked up my phone, and I just typed an email to myself with all the ideas. And then I went back to sleep. And so this morning, that was yesterday morning. I'm excited about looking at those ideas and seeing what I had that kept me awake. I think it's going to be fun, actually, to see what in the world I had in there. Just taking a pencil here and coming in. That's a cool little clump of grapes. Look at that. There's one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to add some sunspots here. Just a couple little hot spots. Take a titanium white and just sort of pop them like that, just a little bit, tiny bit, and let it just settle into that white ink. Can you see that? Those are cool looking. All right, so that's how that works. Don't overthink your process. Goodness gracious, sometimes we'll spend all day trying to make the perfect little grape like this. Oh, I hope I got it round enough. Grapes aren't round. They're just all kinds of shapes. There's one behind the other. You'll spend all this time drawing these little grapes. Is that okay? But then you got to go in, you got to paint all these little grapes, and you got to shadow these grapes. I'm just saying, short sheet the process. Just take it and just do a clump and then take out what you don't need. And it works really well. This black right here is bothering me just a little bit. So I'm going to go in there and see if I can just lighten that up like this. And I might just take some purple and hide it with that like this. I'm losing my voice today because it's so... Oh, look at that. I hit it with a little green. Take a little of this gray right here. Might decide that the sun's coming from this side over here. So I'm going to put just a little bit of a sheen on the sides of these grapes here. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead, but you see where I'm headed. Okay, I'm done. I'm not going to touch this painting again. I'll have to move it, but all right, done, finished. Not even going to finish the leaves. Just let it be out there. Okay, I lied. I'm just going to put a couple extra little squiggles down here like this and one out here, just because I love these little unfinished pieces of where the artist was just going like, put the brush down and back away from the easel. That's it. All right, done. Now, let me tell you about the class. Fascinated what you're doing. I saw Blobs of Purple, and now it's an amazing picture of grapes. How did you do that? I guess I got to watch the rerun. Wine grapes are round, Sheila Nelson says. Yes, they are, and they're almost perfectly round, and especially the little grapes that they do ice wine with. They are almost perfect marbles. One of the only few things in nature. Sheila Nelson, hope you're well, but you're absolutely right. But in painting them, you can spend all day trying to make the perfect round, and I'm saying you have this opportunity. Remember this one that I messed up with the Bob Ross drink here? Let's go back in and show you one more time. Look. I'm just going to paint on the back of it. So what I'm saying is, no matter what brush you use, I used here. Hey, this is a 20. This is a 28. Hey, I've never done this before. Let's just see if it works. I don't even think I've painted with. I may have painted with this brush outside before, but I don't think I've painted anywhere else. These are like Concord grapes. These are just big old honking grapes here. All right. It looks to me like the sun is coming from this direction. Wouldn't you agree? This would be our sunlight here. You see how I started over here and swooped it that way? Here's why. It was because my brush let it dissolve over here, more transparency over here. That looks like the sun's coming all the same way. But what I'll do is, so I'll go with that. So I'm going to come in here and just wipe out a little more of this. I'm just clean brush, come in, grab some of that, let it pick it up. Now I'm just going to use the end of this brush and kind of come in, pick it up round like this and just make these little circles. Now here's where you can get some fun little circles that are almost positive. Look at that. Okay, 3 minutes into this and you should be having the time of your life. You should be going like, oh my gosh, why have I never thought about taking a bigger brush and just making big old globs and having some fun in the first place? Why? Well, I don't know. I can't answer that for you. A little bit of fall in these, grape leaves. Look at that. Wow, look at that. Okay. So suddenly I could go out and do what I did with this one, with that one. And really, there's something going on right here that I don't even think I want to change. I wish you had a close-up of this. Let me see if I can actually pull this in and it'll focus. I don't think so. I don't think it will. When I take it off, put it on automatic focus, it goes back to what's happening here is this color, this water is breaking into these little veins, and it's giving me this look of this grape that's just so fabulous. I just love it. And where's my fountain pen again? Where's my medium metropolitan? Look at that. Put some veining in here and just let this pen melt away with the next drop of water and green that comes over it, just like this, and just let it kind of come in there. All right, so you should be doing this the rest of the day. If the good Lord doesn't have you doing something else, you ought to just say, wow, what is it like to create grapes in the garden? If you want to come back in with the pencil and find some round in there, look, just find the shapes. Let me tell you something about gravity and the creation that we live in. Did you know that when you throw a rock in the pond, the rings that come out are almost perfectly round? perfectly, almost perfectly. You throw a rock in the pond, and the splash comes up and goes out, and then there's all these rings like this, right? Splash comes out like this. And then what happens is that same splash goes out, and it creates another little splash, creates another little splash, another little splash, another little splash, another little splash. And they all have concentric rings that and they scale down as they go. You notice that, right? Did you know that, honestly, you can actually lay almost a straight edge from this across here like this, that they're almost measurable? Why is that? Because of the pressure of the earth, the air pressure, the spin of the earth, the gravity. So same thing happens with watercolor, and you go, come on, you're kidding me. No, it's why it does break into a circle. It's why that you pour pancakes on the griddle, they don't go square. It's because in a circle, there's less surface tension. The world is spinning. It's the gravity. It's a scientific experiment. You pour batter out, what does it do? It tends to go and go around because of the same with watercolor. So just remember that. If we were trying to paint square blocks, we'd have to draw square blocks and paint square blocks. But we're not. We're painting these round little shapes, and we're creating these with a big old brush. Look at the size of this thing. It's the largest brush that I have that's a pointed watercolor brush. I have this brush here, but it's an inch. It's a 1-inch flat brush. I'll use this when I paint my big lobster, and that's coming up. Because he's 4 feet by 8 feet. And I'll also use a couple regular 2-inch house brushes for that. But I'll use this too for a little bit of detail. And then I'll clean them out. I'm going to be using just house paint, which is latex. It's not acrylic. It's latex. It's water paint. It's mixable by water. So that gives you a little idea of how to do. So if those of you who are working on fall leaves, you could probably do a similar thing. Let's try it. Here's that painting that I promised I wasn't going to touch again. Okay, so I'm touching it, but I'm just taking it off of the pad. Okay, so I have to be careful here because this glue is the glue that they sent me a note back and said, hey, we're sorry you messed up a painting. I was like, not sorry as I am. It was a nice letter. I don't complain too much. But now I'm just going to rip all this off. Okay, so there. I'm done with that glue, people. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and take the page off now. Y'all have upset me completely. All right, that works better anyway. Shoot. All right. There's always a way. Okay. Said you're working on leaves today. I'm still painting bees today. I also have a busy day. I've got, I don't do commissions, but I do have some paintings that I've promised people that I'll get to them that are here and there and have to go out of town. But remind people of it's called Back to Basics. Let me just do a commercial for me. Yes, thank you, Pat Brooks. Pat Brooks says, contact me on Roodoodles for Patreon and class details. But also, this class is not a part of Patreon. It's a outside the box class that's 4 classes, and it's called Back to Basics. We're going to talk about what you love, how it blends. We're going to talk about simple tools. We're going to talk about watercolor. Hey, watercolor moves. If you think you're going to just go get some paint and paint it there and say, okay, now I need to push it here and there. No, you're not. You're going to just let it go. And so if you're uneasy with that, this may not be the world for you. It may not be watercoloring. It does move. It's out of control a little bit. So these are some of the ideas. We're going to talk about mess with it, mess it up, and then go to it. We're going to talk about managing your time. We're going to talk about the element of surprise. We're going to talk about... Here's one of the talk. We're going to talk a little bit about brushes. We're going to talk about I don't know why I put an elephant on there. Is that not funny? I don't ever paint elephants. I painted a couple in my day, but I see there's one here on this page. Sometimes I forget how fun big brushes are. I'm glad I stepped into this morning. It makes me just want to just paint. Golly, don't you just love that? Look at that. Look what's happening. A little bit of gray on this big old brush. Put a little shadow right here and a little shadow there. And then some darker shadow down here, a little Payne's gray in around the legs. Get some shadow going under there, underneath here, and then a little bit of buff, titanium buff or white. And I just painted a, I almost said a rooster, but I think that's an elephant in it with this brush on this sketching paper. This is just a little sketch that I did by not looking at the paper, but by looking at the scene of the buildings. And so in this case, I wasn't in Europe, but I had a picture of Europe, and I just thought, what happens if I just take my my pen and I look up and I go da, 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 and so I'm looking at you, I'm going like da, 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 da. Same thing. Could I do that? Have you ever tried that? If you have not, we're going to talk about doing that a little bit. If I were to just take my little soft flare pen here and I were to look over and not look at my paper, okay? In fact, I'll put it down here. You can probably see it and I can't. So I'm looking at you and I'm going to come down with this. I'm going to start here on the side and we'll come down and we'll come over and then up again and then over and then down and up and then again. And then we'll come back over and then we'll close this off like this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I missed my feel, but I think I'm going to bring it halfway over. And then right in here where my finger is, I'm going to draw a circle on it like this. And then above that circle, I'm just going to draw this little block and then we'll draw. So basically, you see what I was doing. I wasn't looking, I was just drawing a camera by making the shapes. And so I know underneath the camera, it's going to have this little thing here and it's going to have this. You don't pick your pencil up, you just let it be, or your pen. And you just let it be, and you come across, and you come up, and you go back. And so then I've made my little tripod head with the handle. So there's something about when you're outside sketching that you want to get the mountain just right. You don't have to look and go over and over and over. There's some grapes that I started. You just have to sort of look at the mountain and go, okay, there's the line. Comes down here, goes out there. There's a big tree there. That's a great way to do that. It's just kind of can be a fun way. So this class is going to be, and it's called Back to One, by the way. And it's 4 classes. They work out at a little over $11 each. So that's 40, I think it's 48.57, and that'll cover, you don't have to come with any supplies, just what you have. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk to you about thes, not thes, but the articles, the tools, the space, the everything. So it's really, some of you are way beyond this. And some of you have been watching the show for a long time and you said, someday I'm going to pick up the brushes. Maybe this is the time. We're going to go back through paper. We're going to go back through brushes. I'm going to put a couple videos on there this week that are just an introduction. I'm going to open the page. At the end of this week, you have about another 10 days to sign up, 8 days to sign up. And then some of you are already at the page. I haven't opened the page yet, but it's there. And so those of you who get the invite, once you register, it'll be there. Patreon is still happening, and so thank you for being a part of that. That just helps support me monthly for supplies and what I do here, and the brains to come with whatever I come to next. I want to come back to this painting just one more time and pick up some more of this wet paint on it while it's still here. And I'm just going to come in now and pick up a little bit more with my brush, damp brush, but just dry enough to pick up some of the paint. And then maybe put a little more in too, like right here. This one actually needs a little bit of paint, and this one needs a little bit of paint. So even in that big one that I did just in a second with this brush, just globbing it on there, all in one direction, you see how that worked. And I'm going to show the other one too after it's had a little time to dry. Okay. Yeah, you guys are talking about rent. Trust me, I get it. Yeah, retirement is fun, but it's tough, isn't it? Are there questions this morning? So the pencil you're adding is on the wet paper. Yes, Karen, it is. But remember, it's just a regular pencil, but I'm just laying it there and letting the graphite just sort of kind of go in very lightly on the paper and just soften it up. You won't be able to erase it later, but I didn't want to erase it later. I just wanted to take it in. I just wanted it to sort of be there. It's part of my original art. It's part of the idea. It's part of the sketch that I put in there. I don't mind for that showing to my audience. I want them to know This is hand done. Yesterday, when my grandson and I were doing these little horseshoe nail crosses, um, I said, look, there's going to be a little tweaks in these where the brass, sometimes when we're brazing these four pieces together, the brass goes flying up one chute and down the other. It all depends on where the heat is puddled. And you have no control over it. It's very much like watercolor brazing is. And that's why I loved it. I said, this is not like you're laying two pieces together and you get to say, oh, welded perfectly. And we're not spray painting these. We're buffing these and we're just rubbing them down with a little carnauba wax or paste wax and saying, there, but you have to clean it like you clean other jewelry. And so even though they're just high carbon nails. And so the interesting thing is that and then we have to weld this little hook on top and it's kind of rough. They're just rough handmade. And I love my art like that too. You must go through tablets daily. Sometimes I do. All right, let me go back here and hey, Lydia Cook Van Landingham, glad you're on the show today. Okay, Kathy Dietz, I don't think I said hello to you, or Susie DeLay. Thank you for being here. Will you offer an on-site in-person class? I am offering an Insight in-person class, but it's coming up in March, and I'm not in control of it. I don't know what it's going to cost, but I do know this. I do know that that information for that is coming out soon, and I'll post it as soon as I can. It's going to be in the mountains of Western North Carolina, in Black Mountain. It's going to be held on the campus of Montreat Anderson College, which is in Black Mountain. What do you know about Montreat? That's where Dr. Billy Graham, Ruth and Billy lived. They had a place up there, and I assume the family still owns it. It was a cool cabin. I've been to that cabin. Walked by it one night late, and because I had permission to get into the compound, but it's a cool place. Montreat is a college there, and so I'm going to be teaching a class there for media workshops. It is part of Joe Miller's Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. It's part of their team runs it, and so I'm going to be one of the artists. And I think there's some artists coming that I can't wait to meet. In fact, I think Bob is going to be there from California. Bob Burrs with his carrot people that I'm always painting. I got to tell him I appreciate you. So that is going to be a class that I'm going to do. Anyway, pass it on to your friends and family, and so that's the word on that. Patreon is great. I'm going to still continue doing what I do here. I love it. And here's how I make this show work, so you know. I got a great email yesterday from someone who said, are you auctioning off this bee for a charity? And I said, yes, me. I'm the charity on this one. And I don't think I offended her, but I said, there's lots of times that we do auctions, not lots, but several times a year, a couple times a year, I'll do auctions on this show for other groups and organizations. I just sent 2 paintings and a class last week to the Foster Association here. You know, I go paint for them sometimes. So Congregations for Kids had an auction last week, and I sent them 2 originals, and I sent them a 2-hour class for 2. And that was part of the auction. And I don't know how much it sold for. I don't know what it went for, but they got the 2 paintings, and then 2 people get to come and spend 2 hours here in my studio, and we're going to paint. And we're going to talk about the basics of watercolor. 2 folks who just want to start. And I did a little video that I sent with it. So at the auction, they could click on a little QR code, and it was me saying, here's what to expect. I'm also, this year, probably after Christmas, so first of the year, next year, I'm going to offer, I may do it one in December just as a sample. I may offer a class via Zoom for like the first 10 that sign up. And we might just do that so it'll be live. So you'll get to be on the show. I'll get to see you. You'll get to see me. And we may just say, top 5 questions. What are they? How to answer them? And we'll attack. So what I've found in doing this, because you guys encourage me to do this, is to teach and help inspire, is that there are just so many things that go by the board. There's so many obstacles that are in the way. How do we do it so that we just kind of learn to fail at the same time? Watercolor is a discovery. Look, when I did this morning, honestly, I didn't know it was going to turn out like this. I didn't. There was a point where I went, what are you wasting these people's time for? It was about 4 minutes into the first time I dropped the paint on here. And look at it now. It's turned into a pretty cool little painting. And it was all about just not giving up on it, but keep pushing and thinking, what if I saw this? What if I saw that? What if I do this? And you suddenly get these little grapes that you go, dang, those look pretty good. I like them. This is 6x6, and this will be framed in a nice little frame and go, boom, there it is. Ain't it grape? So there's a moment where you don't know how that's going to turn out. I got 5 minutes. Let's try a leaf. I started on one, and let's just go. Some of you are doing leaves, and you bring a leaf in from the outside, and let's see if we could just do a leaf like this. And maybe it's a part of an oak leaf. Maybe it's just a piece of a leaf that didn't turn out so well. Maybe it's a leaf that just fell off the tree. Maybe it's got a vein down the center like this, and it's got some veins out like that. Can you see that? I'm just sort of putting it there. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do it with this big old brush again. And let's build up a base. Let's go in here with a little bit of just some. It's not sienna, but it's a beige color. It's got a little bit of yellow in it, but that's okay. All right, I like that right there. What if, I think I need a little bit of music to do this, don't you? I think so. Let's just put something on here. All right. Go get a little bit of some green. It's not totally given up all of its green yet. And where would that green be? The green be back here. Why? Well, because the end would have gotten the last sap first, the least sap. And so it's still got a little bit of green coming in here. If we come in here with a touch of brown, just where this ends, we're getting kind of brown right here. And then we'll come in with a little bit of red. Just pop some of that in there. It's got to have some orange in it. I'm keeping this brush as clean as I can. Man, this thing carries a ton of water. I've never done a small painting with such a large brush. And so that's kind of fun. All right, so I'm just stacking colors in there, but I'm just letting them run wherever they go. Let's put a little bit of this orange yellow just right in there like this. Maple leaves here, and I know you guys in upstate, the maple leaves are just off the chain right now. They're just... All right, let's do the same thing we did with the grapes. What happens if we do? So it could be a mess, could be a wreck. Here we go. Pick up some of this. Pick it up in the way that the veins are attached. Look. Hey, every day is not a rooster here. Most days are. Sold a rooster this weekend that I really loved, and sold a bee last night. That was really fun. He turned out great. All right, Karen, here's that pencil again going in wet. Take a look. Just dragging some pencil down in that color. Why am I doing that? I'm literally Karen, I'm actually using this pencil as a tiny little paintbrush too. I don't want you to be fooled by thinking that I'm actually just drawing, but it is drawing some, but I'm actually moving some paint around in a direction that the paint needs to go. I could spend my life painting these, or I could just use a little bit of paint around. You see that coming in right there? Look what's happening. It's transforming right in front of you. See, there's no exact science to... Look, the leaves fall off the trees, and some are crooked and wrinkled, and you're just picking them up because of the way the color is just splashed across them. You're fascinated the way I am. You find a little hot spot there. You find a little bit of a splatter. Look what's happening with this when I pick that up. Is that not cool? Let's go in and get some of this red brown and put back in there like this and pull it in. I think a little more yellow here. I'm just feeling a little more yellow in this fall leaf right there. And so I suddenly have that, and maybe a touch of red right on this little vein right there. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's too planned. I don't want it to look like I planned. I want it to look like I just went outside and picked it up. Maybe it's got a little Payne's gray spot in it right here. Maybe there's a couple little dirty sprinkles that I can put in the leaf and let a little, look at this. I'm using this pencil as a paintbrush again. Got a couple minutes to go this morning before I head into breakfast and another cup of tea and some busy morning that I have. It's Monday. I feel like I worked all weekend, but had people over. I've cooked dinner at the fire the last 4 nights. Outside at the fire, okay? I love it. I just love something about cooking in an open wood fire. All right, so there you go. There's a little fall leaf for you. And so could it use a little more orange? Could it use a little bit of, it could use a little bit of everything, I think. But there's no rhyme or reason to why you can't make this your own and do it any way you want. The problem is, and the good news is because if these were dark colors, we'd already have a mud pie. But because they are very translucent, cool colors, warm colors, cool colors, you can keep stacking them a little bit right in there. But I do think it needs a little more, just a little touch of, just some dry rot spots in it, maybe. And maybe those would be better if they were chocolate brown. Had just a little bit of brown in here like this. There we go. And I think I'm done. So there's a little fall leaf for you. Once again, just kind of come out here on the edges with this pencil. And, you know, I could do some ground underneath it if I wanted to, just with graphite. Maybe give that a little bit of a, whoa, wrong color. Had some paint in that brush, didn't I? Okay, so just take that brush and sweep it over the. All right, so there you go. That's a little painting. All right. The energy drink that he didn't need is kicked in. I don't think so. All right. Maybe so though. Okay. Thank you, June. Perfect. Doing well. Okay. All right. We need a cocoa filter. I don't know what that is, but all right, there we go. I think that's a character. All right, here's the painting. I'll post it out there today. Somebody may want this in their kitchen. We'll just let it go. And you can remember, you can look back and see how it was painted right here. It's kind of a fun little painting, 6x6. And there it is. I'm not going to do anything else to it. I'm just going to leave it like it is. So there we go. Have a blessed day. Thanks for joining me here. Tomorrow morning is our last day in Matthew of Good News Rue on Patreon, 857. And so those of you who are walking with me through that, painting with me through that, here's something that you need to do. Let me throw these away. That is, we're going to talk about just how to wrap it up. And where are you? Do you need ideas? So bring those, get ready to type in some, and we'll talk through that. Maybe let it run just a little bit longer till we get those answered. Sorry. Maybe it's the energy drink. All right. Hey, I look at my wall over here and I take a sip and think, who am I going to send a couple of notes to before I get up out of this chair? I love my time in this studio with you guys. Thank you very much for being a part. It's called Back to One, Rue Back to One. And you can find information on, it's not Patreon, that's a whole nother thing. That keeps going. This is just 4 classes. They'll be recorded. If you can't take them on Thursday, they're there for you to see. Comments are there. Simple lessons. We're going to do this again. We're going to walk through it. We're going to walk through a lot of tools. The first one is going to be a lot of talking and a lot of you taking notes so you feel like, hey, I've got to start. Look, quick little thing here. I'm going a little longer this morning. You see this palette has all these colors? Okay, I've had this palette for 6 years. I've never added paint here. I've never even used this color. I don't even know what color it is. It just came with the palette. These are all the colors that I've put in there from Cheap Joe's Art Stuff because I like this size and I like this little messy area. I don't even clean it out. If you get buy a set of colors that's got 44 colors in it, you're going to use 4 or 5 or 6 maybe. And the rest of those colors are just going to get hard as a brick and just going to get crumbly, and they're going to be pretty useless to you. So that's why people say, I don't understand how you would show up to a watercolor thing with just that many paintings. And I'll go, all the colors in the whole world are right there. There's my 3 primaries. They have everything in them. I just like these because it makes it simpler and quicker for me to turn the things that I paint. So I'm talking simple is better. 2 or 3 brushes. You saw me do a big painting with a giant brush, or a little painting with a giant brush this morning. So I'm going to talk to the class about making that bug out bag work for you. I got way too many pens on my desk, but I also teach classes. And so go from there. I'll send you information when I have it on my live class coming up. I'll send you information on Zoom, and have a wonderful day. A little sip and oh, I got the names that I need to send notes to right now. Be blessed. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. There they are. Thanks, Pat. Right on time. Diane says, excited to begin at the beginning again. Sheila, the class starts on Thursday, October the, was that the 3rd maybe? October the 3rd, I believe it is. Information is on Roodoodles. And send me a note if you're interested.